Welcome to Multifamily Grit, where we bring in the experts to share their stories of the celebrations and struggles of one of the most important industries in the U.S., multifamily property management. Kerri sat down with Kathleen Raffinello, founder and president of a boutique third-party management firm based in Nevada. With more than 3 decades in multifamily, Katie has worked coast to coast, but she's called Las Vegas home for 31 years. 6 years ago, at a personal crossroads, she decided not to return to a national firm, but instead to launch her own company, betting on customization, personal service, and a boots-on-the-ground approach. Katie's journey is one of grit and passion. She started in property management at 16, moved to Vegas at 24 with just $800 to her name, and built a career through sheer determination. At 50, she took another bold leap, founding a company that values people over scale and good management over becoming the biggest player in town. Today, her firm manages for major investment groups while staying true to its boutique, hands-on roots. In this conversation, we explore Katie's belief that real estate is about more than numbers. It's about people and homes. From grooming the next generation of leaders, to navigating tough market cycles, to winning Property Management Company of the Year in 2024 for Reno and Las Vegas, Katie brings perspective and honesty you won't want to miss. She shares why she believes property management should be taught in high schools, why 2025 has been one of the toughest years yet, and how she's preparing for the road ahead in 2026. Before we get started, this episode is sponsored by Fortress, the only core property management operating system built with an emphasis for affordable owners and operators. Fortress revolutionizes affordable management with features focused on automating housing assistance charges and payments to keep ledgers clean and accurate, centralizing file reviews and document storage through Fortress and AWS, and a free in-system smart waitlist to ensure your property stays in compliance. And don't forget, if you like what you hear today, please like, subscribe, and share with someone you think would enjoy this episode. Now let's get into it. Here's Kerri Davis sitting down with Kathleen Raffinello for a conversation about resilience, customization, and what it takes to thrive as a boutique leader in multifamily.
So, Katie, thank you so much again for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And before we get started, I honestly love your story so much. It's one of my favorite, actually, that I've ever heard on the show and just anyone I've spoken to. So would you mind sharing with our listeners how you got your start in the industry?
So I am second generation real estate. My mother became a broker in the late 70s. God, that sounds so long ago, but it was. So she started in real estate. She didn't go to college. She had 6 children by the time she was 28. So when I was 16, she said, you have to get a job and work for the company I worked for with another broker office. Answering phones is how I started. After school, weekends, summer. So it was just a brokerage firm. He also had properties. So when I graduated from school, he asked if I wanted to lease apartments, stay in the business. So I did. I stayed with him for 5 years. Then I decided to go to a larger firm. He was a smaller firm, a great guy, great mentor, still talk to him. And I went to a large group and then another large group. Just kept going up the ladder. And then in 1994, another mentor offered me a job in Las Vegas. She hired me for a job in Chicago. And I said, I have no bills, no obligations, no kids. So I packed up my car literally in 3 weeks. I was in Las Vegas. Had no idea what I was doing, didn't know anybody, didn't know the laws, didn't know the real estate, didn't know where I was going. Been to Vegas one time and literally had $800 in my pocket. And that's where I started it. Didn't think I'd be here this long. I thought party in Vegas for 6 months and go home. It's been 31 years.
Well, Katie, like I said, when we first started chatting, I absolutely love that story. And I really love the fact that your family was like placing bets on when you were going to come home with your tail between your legs because of the difficulty of making that massive of a move. But what I also loved is you actually commented on the difference. And I think this, at least it shocked me the difference between Chicago and Las Vegas and how people kind of interpreted you and experienced you while you when you first arrived.
Yes, it was a lot different out here. Chicago's very fast paced.
Yeah.
People are very blunt and direct. We
Yeah.
don't sugarcoat. And when I came out here, it was very strange. People took me as being loud and rude and talk too fast. And it was very strange to me. I was like, what is wrong with these people out here? I didn't know if I could do it because, I've been in the industry a while at that time, and my personality is my personality. It's not going to
Yeah.
change. And I honestly wasn't sure I was going to make it with the differences out here. I mean, I had never heard of a concession. Like, what is that?
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting also.
I never heard of that. I never heard of an admin fee. I never heard of like a
Oh,
reduced deposit of back then. It was like $200. I'm like, no, you pay first month, last month, blah, blah, blah. That's what I was used to. It was really weird out here. And it seemed more upbeat and easygoing. It was during a big boom time in Vegas. So we had
yeah.
talked about Vegas had 997,000 people when I moved here. We're
Crazy.
over 3 million. And there was a huge boom back then. Every year they were pulling out like 10,000 units of
Yeah.
multifamily. So they were doing the concessions. They had to fill them. We were building faster than people were moving in. And it was just the most bizarre thing to me. I
Wow.
got used to it clearly. I don't know if Vegas got used to me yet, but I hope a little bit. But yeah, it was
It sounds
very
like they have.
interesting. It was very interesting.
Yeah. So I think that's so interesting. Actually, I was gonna go somewhere else, but actually I want to dig into this a little bit because obviously you that's so astonishing to hear that you left Chicago and went to Las Vegas and experienced almost a whole new industry. It was like a
Yes,
different version
yes.
of property management.
Hmm.
I mean, thinking about like not having concessions and waiving security deposits and those sorts of things, like that's just crazy. And then over the past years, over your career, obviously you've had the opportunity to work nationwide. Do you still see pockets of different kind of types of property management anymore, or do you think that that's really normalized across the United States
I
now?
think amenities and expectations of the customer and consumer is pretty universal. Obviously, every
Yeah.
state has different laws. I'm always
Hmm.
fascinated by it. One thing I used to try to do when I go like to North Carolina or Georgia or Chicago, any of those places, Texas, I try to pull their marketing, pull their knowledge. What are they doing? It may not work for us
Okay.
legally or whatever, but pull what they're doing because I had the great opportunity of going into a different market, seeing what they're doing differently. How can I take that and incorporate it into my market, a market where we probably haven't seen it? Not a lot of people travel and manage multi state. So that was always the best part. I mean, learning the laws and everything was a whole different ball game, but
Yeah.
learning what they were doing and being able to extract some of their gimmicks and their marketing, their amenities. That was my favorite part of it, and seeing the different techniques. But universally, I think the amenities, the expectations of what we're seeing now is pretty universal. It varies depending on climate and all that fun stuff, but it's pretty much the same as far as that goes now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I would agree. Although to your point though, still from a state and I even think municipal perspective, it is still astonishing the difference in some landlord tenant laws and how you have to really understand those. Which is which I think kind of like segues nicely into the next question that I want to ask you. And this is probably my favorite part of your journey because it I just think that there are so let me take a step back. I hear it a lot. I hear a lot that people are like, I've been doing what I've been doing for so long. Like it would be too hard to change now. And like, if I was going to start my own company, I should have done it in my 30s. And yet, 6 years ago, made a really bold decision to actually can step away from the national firms and start your own boutique management firm. And I'd love to know why. Why did you decide to do that?
I think I was at a crossroads in my career, and we had talked about it. Um, I had several of my clients for over a decade. I have worked with some very large investment groups, very large companies, and learned so much from all of them. But they're getting so big for me. They were getting too big. I like really boots on the ground. I like to be on my sites. And I just looked at it and said, one size doesn't fit all with team members, with properties, with how you run them, with where you put your marketing dollars, where you put any of your dollars.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to do it anymore. I mean, I already reached where I wanted to go, and I was able to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. So now I could really focus on what parts of it I love the most, and that's real estate, and that's people, and that's properties and underwriting. It's just something that I really truly enjoy. So I got to do all the pieces and not just be in one position. So I think that was it. And I really wanted to focus on Nevada and the current clients that I have because they're amazing. So
Yeah.
I just didn't want to be in that huge environment anymore. I already did it. It was great. It was great. I learned so much. Just didn't want to do
Yeah.
it anymore.
Yeah. And how, so I want to ask, oh my gosh, I have so many questions about this, honestly. My mind is racing. This doesn't usually happen to me, but I have so many different questions, like trying to figure out which direction I want to go. Um, so w- Looking back on that decision, what have been the most rewarding parts of making that decision?
I would say it was weird. Okay. I'm not going to lie. I really didn't know what we were doing. I really
I
didn't.
love
It
this.
was a not split decision. I took my team into consideration. I took my clients into consideration, of course, my family. I took
Yeah.
so many things into consideration, but literally, Kerri, I have from the time I made the decision till the time I had to take over my first property, less than 2 months.
Oh my
Less
goodness.
than 2 months. Once I made the decision, I'm not going to go to another company, I had 2 months.
Yeah.
So it was bizarre. I had a friend I went to high school with. She had moved out here. I knew she had opened a business in Chicago, construction and stuff like that. So I knew she'd know like the insurance pieces, short of the changes in the laws and stuff. She would know how to do that. She would know how to reach
Yeah.
out. So I called her and I said, "Listen, I need your help. This is what I'm doing. I have 60 days to do it. I have no idea what I'm doing. I know how to run buildings, but I need insurance. I need HR. I need all these things." And then I called my team members who we have worked together at two different companies over 12 years and said, "This is what I want to do. And I want you guys to come with me." And without hesitation, they did. And they're
Oh,
still
that's
with
amazing.
me. To this day, they're still with me. They're amazing. They were as well wanting to do something different, best in their field. I'm not being biased. They are, and we all just threw stuff against the wall and hoped we got it right and hoped we got the right licenses. It was crazy. It was weird, and it was. I don't remember a lot of it because it went so
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
We were up and running in 2 months. It was really strange. So you didn't even have time to worry about failure. You didn't even have time to worry about if you got it wrong. You didn't
Yeah.
have time. We onboarded our first employee who's still with me. She was onboarded before me. I don't know how that happened, but she's literally the first employee. Bless her heart, love her to death. On June 29th, June 29th of 2019. So I wouldn't have wanted to do it with any other group or group of clients. I was very fortunate. I'm very appreciative for everything that they've done for me and trusting me. So, yeah, it was really weird. It was very weird.
Oh, I cannot tell you how much that hits home for me too. I think, over all the different positions that I've had and kind of types of businesses that I've helped launch, you're right. You just don't, first of all, you have no idea how hard it's going to be or complicated or how much you don't know until you actually start doing it. And it's like almost impossible to know. And so you just kind of have to jump into it. And then once you do, I think you're right. I mean, at that point, like failure is not an
Yeah.
option. You just have to keep pushing, like, and new and unexpected obstacles come up all the time, like things that you don't know about or you didn't consider. And so then you have to like just stop, find the right resources to help you figure it out and just keep going. I think but for me that's probably one of the best parts of starting a new business or even launching a new product or like focusing on a new location or whatever it is. But um kind of that like excitement of the unknown. But does any of it make you anxious? Does it create anxiety for you?
It did. Again, not for, you know, failures happen, right? I mean, it's part of
Yeah.
life, it's part of growth, it's part of all that. Wasn't even that part. It was the fear of disappointing the other people around me,
Mm.
um, their livelihoods. I think that was the scariest part for me. I can
Yeah.
handle it. I'm like, if something happens, you just go back to working, finding a job, blah, blah, blah. But I was more afraid, I was getting the anxiety over failing for the people who trusted me
Yeah.
and said, we'll do this with you. And so
Mm.
that was the part that really gave me anxiety the most. The rest is property
Yeah.
management is property management. It's different buildings, different demographics, different locations, different this, but realistically, it's all the same. We're in the customer service business. We're providing homes for people, and this we're protecting the investment of our clients. That's anywhere
Yeah.
you go. It's all the other parts that gave me mad anxiety. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Oh,
terrible.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, when things are the only time I get really stressed out at Fortress or have been really stressed out at other companies is that fear of not showing up for my really great team members. You know, when I was running Elmington Property Management, we had this happen a few times actually where we sat down and made the very, very difficult decision to discontinue working with certain clients. And, you know, sometimes they were just bad clients, I'll be very honest.
Yeah,
Other times they were
yeah,
just bad assets and there was just no money.
yeah.
And like honestly, we were starting to drag our name through the mud with vendors and whatever it was and the owners just were not in a position to help, I guess. And so, you know, we ultimately had to part ways. And the worst part about all of that was the team members that
Mhm.
you know, you didn't have a place for everybody, especially those team members on site. So I couldn't agree more. I think that that's probably the most stressful thing about running your own company is
Yes,
the weight of that responsibility.
yes, 100%,
Yeah.
100%.
Um, you know, you have said, I should have two different areas I want to go into. So I'm gonna start with one of them. So you've said that you know you really were so excited about starting your own boutique firm because you felt like the national players were just too big and you really wanted to be on site more and you really saw this opportunity where you know that one size of those national firms doesn't really fit all. So I want to ask, like, what does your firm focus on? Like, what are you guys really good at, and what would cause an owner to choose your boutique firm to manage their asset rather than a national player?
I think because of our size, we have the ability to be more customizable for our clients. I mean, obviously, we're
Mhm.
not going to redo everything and, every account code or what have you. But where we can customize, we will. Okay.
Okay.
We will. We've changed account codes. We've changed a little bit of things here and there for our clients. I think the camaraderie and the interaction and working with the clients, our clients tend to be people that are hands on. They do want to
Mm,
be involved. They do want to hear from you. And we love it. Um, and we want to be there for them. So, even though I have regionals, if a client says, "Hey, I'd love you on the biweekly call," I'll be on the biweekly call. I like the boutique size because I can physically go out to the properties. So when they're
yeah.
talking to me and saying, "Katie, I'm having a big issue with this," I can say, "Hey, I'm aware, and this is what we're doing to combat it." I have personally gone over there and seen it. I mean, obviously, it's not, I can't do everything. I have
Yeah.
really great regionals that are heavily involved. I ask that they're on their sites once a week. We do have conference calls, we do have corporate calls. Um, our corporate team's about 8 people, and we do
Okay.
have weekly calls, and they're involved. If they say, Katie, we found this great program, what do you think? We will research it, we'll check it out, we'll see if it's going to work for us. We will involve our clients in that decision, kind of a majority rule type gig, unless it's something really, that just doesn't fit another client's property or the results they're looking for. I'm not going to force anyone to do anything. When I worked for larger companies, if they were rolling out an initiative, everyone was going to be on that initiative. It's within their right to do so, it's in their agreement. It just doesn't work for everybody. And they got so big. I mean, I remember 20 years ago, whatever, largest management company was maybe 180,000, 200,000 units. They're close to a million now,
Yeah. Crazy.
500,000. I can't even, that's just not, I don't want to get lost in the shuffle. I don't want my clients to get lost in the shuffle. It's
Yeah.
just, it's so much. How do they keep track? I mean, I get the layers, I know how business works, but it just blows my mind. So it's
Yeah.
just not, it's just not for me and not for my clients. So I think clients are looking for something more hands-on, more involvement from the corporate perspective. Um, I'm the right business for that. Market knowledge. If they're looking for somebody that specializes in Vegas, specializes in Reno, has people that specialize in those areas, they would come to us. And I do think our accounting's in house. I worked for one company, and my client's like, I really want to talk to the accountant because I'm not understanding what they're doing. And the company said, no, the client can't speak to the accountant. I said, well, I don't know how you want me to explain it to him. And I'm not going to go back and forth in between you guys. It's stupid. Just put the accountant on the phone with him. Nope, we don't allow. They can't allow because of their
Yeah.
size. So I get why they can't do it. If my client wants to talk to my controller, go ahead. I
Yeah.
mean, it's fine. And then it,
Yeah.
it solves things faster. The other thing is because we're smaller, because we have the ability to make decisions super quick and we can change on a dime, we don't have to go through the red tape of 10 different departments and submitting this form, submitting that form. We can make a decision significantly faster and execute faster. We don't have one person that does all the marketing changes. We have several people who know how to do it in our corporate office. So if Susie's not available, Sunny will do it. So the
Yeah.
clients don't have to wait. And that's the biggest frustration I hear from the clients is that they have to wait so long for an approval, for a response, for a change on a website that it's very frustrating to
Yeah.
them. So it's very important that we remain a certain size so we don't get lost in that same situation.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're so right. And I know, to your point, we know that those larger firms definitely have like the hierarchies and the structure and the process and all those things, but it definitely takes a lot longer to turn that wheel, or to turn the massive ship versus
Yes.
like your sailboat. So it's a big difference. So it makes so much sense. And obviously you guys are proving out the value of this. If without having your customers here to speak on your behalf, I think that the awards that you're winning certainly can. And these awards are normally based on data,
Mhm.
as far as I
Yes.
understand it. Okay, awesome. And you mentioned that you believe that your team members are the best in their field. I have a feeling that that these awards actually do speak the testament to that. So your you guys have won the best property management company in Las Vegas and in Reno,
Yes.
which is huge. I mean, I'm assuming there's pretty massive competition there.
Yes. So it was weird. We're only 6 years old.
Yeah.
So it was a lot, but we really worked hard on our numbers. I make sure that my team members understand their numbers, that they're trained in that. I see so many managers and they come in and out, and I'm going, how do you not know a financial? How do you not, they're just going through it. I think everyone needs to know that, regardless of position, honestly, because it's life, right? I mean, you have a budget at home, you have a budget in business. There is no difference, just bigger numbers. That's all it
Yeah.
is. So, I mean, everyone should understand that. But I really focus on our managers knowing that and being an integral part of decision making and running their asset and understanding where the numbers come from. Some people like that, some don't. Not gonna lie, I've had managers be like, that is way too much work. I do not want to do this. And yes, I have a very high standard and expectation for communication and follow up and documentation. So our numbers, they worked really hard. A lot of people were backing off their rents last year, and our teams were still pushing through. They have really great expense management. Again, from educating them on what to look for, how to get their bids, and really taking pride as if it's their dollar that they're spending. And I always say to people, they'll throw me a bid for like $4,000, and I'd say, "Do you have a second bid? Do we have a better scope of work?" And they're like, "No." I said, "Would you pay for that if that was your house? Would you be okay with that? Would you sign off and approve that exact bid if it was coming out of your pocket?" No. Then why would you expect me to? Why would you expect our clients to? You just got to learn it from a different perspective. And this is why we do things. And some people love it and they excel with me, and some people don't. I mean, I think I'm anal and all that stuff, but it is what it is. Whatever. We're getting the results that are needed. And they're getting the growth that they need. So yeah, I think it just comes from a lot of communication, a lot of follow up, a lot of training, and a lot of camaraderie and working together on the assets.
Yeah. I think I love that how you ended that, working together on the assets. So you said, and I'm quoting you on this because this is one of those things that you do not hear a lot of operators say, that your clients are extremely hands-on and that you guys actually love it.
Yep.
That's a controversial statement.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
hands-on clients can sometimes be a lot. It can make your job really difficult, but you guys love it. Why?
Because there's two, I've had hands off clients too. Those are fun. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy hands on clients. Um, if the property is running well, hands off clients are great. Okay, you send them their weekly report, you send them their monthly financial. I have had
Yep.
some that I had to chase down. I couldn't even get a hold of. So
Mm.
like when I needed them, I'm like, "Hello," and then you just make the decision, something that's out of your range or whatever. So I don't like that extreme on that side, but I a lot of clients, especially when you're dealing with larger groups, right? You've got asset managers, you've got acquisition guys, you've got their accounting department, you have this, you have that. Operators are completely different. We are operators, okay? Asset managers are it's a different position. They
Mm-hmm.
look at the
Yeah.
assets from a completely different perspective. Their expectations may not be the same, and you may have to speak with them and communicate with them of why. So I like when they're involved and they're learning something different, and I've learned a ton from my clients, my acquisition guys, my brokers, my asset managers, from the financial perspective that they're looking at. Because I'll say, "Katie," I'll say, "What are you talking about? You're getting like 6% rent growth." They're like, "But we're looking at this. And I'm like, "Oh, now I understand." So I like that back and forth. It's a learning experience for everybody involved. And it does help. So I don't mind it at all. I really truly don't. If they're realistic, if they're,
Yeah.
and sometimes we have to coach each other along both ways. I
Yeah.
don't pretend to know everything. They don't pretend to know everything. And again, it's just an extra layer of camaraderie and communication. So I don't mind it.
Have you ever had a client that wasn't realistic and you weren't able to work through it with them?
Um, oh gosh. Yeah, I've had quite a few over the years. Yeah. I've had some fun ones over the years. I really have only had to part ways once or twice. And to
Okay.
be honest with you, when you were talking about that feeling bad, I didn't feel bad. I tried everything.
Good
We
for you.
probably were not, we were never going to see eye to eye. Their expectations were different, unrealistic. Tried. And if I feel that I've made every attempt and I, in good faith, and we're still not getting anywhere, I don't feel bad parting ways at all. If, you know, carrying payables and stuff like that, I can work with that if the client's working with me. If they
Hmm.
say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I can't give you 200, can we do 75 and then do this?" I'll work with them on that, of course, and then I call my vendors and see who is able to work with that. I don't
Yeah.
just start raking up bills and not paying vendors. We have a lot of small vendors here in Vegas that have in Reno that I've worked with for 30 years. I am not going to paralyze their business because my client
Yeah.
doesn't pay his bills. It's not their responsibility to carry his debt. It's not their responsibility to overextend themselves to
Yeah.
maintain an asset. And when you were talking about that, a lot of people get the misconception if a building's not paying, they're blaming the management company. Well, that company sucks. They're not paying their bills. And you have again, it's education, right? I tell the vendor, listen, I have this building. They're terrible at paying their bills. Okay, you're going to be 90, 120 days out. If you want this work, set
Yeah.
a limit
Love that.
of what you can afford to hold. Once
Yeah.
that property reaches that limit, you cut them off. You cut them
Yeah.
off. And that's it. They won't get apartments painted. They won't, whatever. We keep obviously the pools, the landscapers, all that in check. But the other stuff, and then I go back to the client, and when they say, "Hey, my units aren't getting turned," I said, "No, they're not. You have no money. You have no money. So either give me money to pay off this, otherwise it's going to take me 3 months from the cash flow you do have, or we're just going to limp along, you know." But again, it's the communication. I have a very great relationship with my vendors. I do worry about them during the crash in '08 when that all started. Several of my vendors really got hurt. A ton of money on foreclosures was lost, and I promised I would never let them do that to themselves again because I need them. Okay, so it's important they stay in business. But it was brutal. It was brutal. Families destroyed. It was terrible. So I will not go through that, and I won't put anybody through that.
So, Katie, it's so obvious in every single conversation and every single topic that we get to how important people are to you, whether they're your clients or, well, we take a step back, your team members, your clients, your vendors. Everyone's so important. The people are really such a crucial part of this industry. And you've even said it to me that while the numbers are incredibly important, real estate's more than it's about so much more than just numbers. It's about people. And you've even told me stories about that I loved about having, kind of those real estate professionals who have really kind of changed course in their career where, they were hard charging, like moving up the ladder, made it to RVPs, and then, were ready for a change of pace. And have come back to you. And you even have a personal story, actually, having witnessed that with your mom as well. So I'd love to ask you to share those stories and about those relationships that you have with people that allow you to kind of have that continued extension of a relationship with them as they kind of shift in their careers.
It's amazing because I mean, once you're in real estate, you're kind of in it.
Yeah.
You're in it forever. It may morph into something else. My mother was a real estate broker for decades. As she got older, she just didn't want to do it anymore. And what's funny, her and her friends, if you saw them together, you'd just laugh. They're hilarious. They were all brokers, really tough women in the 70s and 80s. It
In
was a
Chicago.
very, it was a very different time back then. You
Yeah,
didn't see a substantial amount of female brokers at that time.
love it.
They were tough. Those ladies were no joke. And they still work. They all still work. They all still hang out. They're in their late 70s. My mom is 77, 78,
Love
and
it.
her friends are about the same age. And they said, we just don't want to do the real estate thing anymore. You're dragging people around to look at 50 different homes. And so my mom morphed into an appraiser. So
Yeah.
she's been appraising, oh gosh, I don't even know. She opened a little appraisal company. She's not ready to retire. Her friends aren't ready to retire. They also went into appraising. It's something you could do as one person, your own business, all that good stuff. So they chose that route. My mom will still dabble. She will never get rid of her broker's license. She's like, I will hold that till I die. I worked really super hard for it. She'll refer people to her friends that are still doing real estate, but she wanted something different.
Yeah.
So appraisal gives her a lot more wiggle room on her time and her schedule. I've also had people, I'm thinking of two in particular. Um, People I worked with for a very, very long time. They were both amazing individuals. One had been a regional RVP, and she came to me. She was in her oh gosh, early 70s. And she said, "Can you hire me? I'm looking for a job." And I said, "I don't have a regional position or a large property position to manage." She goes, "Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to lease."
Love it.
Why? And she said, because I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to keep myself busy. I can bring so much to the table. This was the best. I can help train your manager.
Yeah,
So the leasing agent's going to train the manager. The manager did not, sometimes it gets a little territorial and
absolutely.
there is concerns, right? I mean, you're worried somebody coming in to take your job, blah, blah, blah. But knowing that she already did all that and doesn't want to do it, that receiving manager was really lucky
Mhm.
because she got all the knowledge and all the benefit of somebody of that caliber on her site every day who just wanted to lease apartments. That's all she wanted to do. She was hilarious. She was one of my faves for decades. The other one, same thing. She had retired, can't remember. She wasn't in the field at all. She had never been in the field. And she came to us and she said, I have great customer service. Whatever she did was customer service related. And she goes, I want to try this leasing thing. And I said, okay. I said, well, you have customer service. Can you type well? Can you use computers or do you have some technology? Yeah, 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 I can do all that. And I'm like, oh, okay. She was one of the best leasing agents I ever had. But what I loved about her was that's scary. She was doing a different career for decades. That's like
Yeah.
really all she knew. And it blew my mind that she wanted to make a change. She said she wanted to do something fun, is what she said. I said, this is not always fun. Know that you're gonna, it's not always fun. I said, but I do think it's fun if I can turn somebody around that was mad or irate or whatever. That was a senior property. So she did a lot of the activities for us. And
Aw.
yeah, so it was so much fun to have her around. She danced and it was fun. So she did an amazing job. But to make such a huge change, I always was so impressed by that. Just
Yeah.
impressed. I mean, you only have one life, right?
Yes.
So do what you love. Somebody said to me, but you love, I was having a really bad week and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just really stressed out and I'm slammed beyond belief and I'm just getting hit every way because, it all falls down at once and you have a couple great months and then you get hit again. And they said to me, but you love to work. I said, no, I don't love to work. I love what I do. Okay, there's a big difference. I am passionate about what I do. I enjoy what I do. But no, I don't love to work all the time, but I love what I do. That's the difference. So don't call it work. It's what you do and what you're passionate about. And I see so many people over the years that hate their job,
Yeah.
that hate what they do, that just complain all the time. And I'm like, change it,
Yeah.
do something else. I don't care what you do. Go take a class, go wherever you want to work, go try something instead of just complaining. You know, I'm very fortunate. I love what I do. I wouldn't change it for the world. I can't think of anything else I would like to do. Honestly, seriously, wanted to be a doctor when I was a little kid. Don't know why, but I did. Um, that was the only other thing I ever said that I wanted to do. So yeah,
Oh,
so I'm one of the lucky ones, I guess.
maybe. Maybe you're one of the lucky ones. But I agree wholeheartedly with you that there are so many people out there who don't enjoy their work. And that's what they call it, right? And even like my generation and the generation below me have this like constant obsession with what they call this like work life balance that like blows
Yes,
my mind. I cannot
yep,
stand that term because it implies that work and life are separate, that they're different. Like, I don't say I have a child life balance or that I have a health life balance or whatever it is. Like, it's all a part of my life. Work is a big part of my life. And I love the way that you phrase that. I've never heard it put that way before. That it's not about loving work, it's about loving what you do and being intentional about what you do, not just continuing to do what you do because it's been what you've been doing. Right. And I think so. I don't know. I mean, you could say lucky, but you could also say like intentional and purposeful and mindful of what you did and didn't want in your life, which is what allowed you to push through and make that change to not working at a national firm and now owning your own firm and being so content with what you're doing that you wouldn't do anything else. And I think that's beautiful. I think it's such a lesson for generations to learn, really.
yeah,
Yeah. And now you're doing it with your son too, which is
yes,
pretty cool. So
yes.
so he works with you.
So he was going to college. He was going to be an engineer.
Okay.
Um, Oddly enough, very good with math.
Love
Okay, I tell my husband he gets it from me, but he really gets it from my husband.
it.
And he was at school, and he had said a couple times he wasn't quite sure about engineering. It's kind of boring. You're just kind of sitting there crunching numbers. And of course, I'm like, no, you're going to be an engineer. You're great at it. You're smart. You know
Yep.
numbers. And to be honest with you, in my younger years, I worked in challenging areas and challenging properties and being on site. Have to be honest, I've probably seen things that I would never want my son to see ever. A lot. It was a lot at a very young age. I'm a little more probably jaded and cynical. Things don't really. I try to pretend like it's not real. That's my coping mechanism when I would see things that were less than pleasant. So I wasn't sure I wanted my son in that environment. I didn't want him to see the things I had seen. So he came to me when I was telling him I was going to open the company, and he said, Mom, I want to do this with you. I want to learn. He'd been around it all his life. You know, property management people are really a weird group of people. All your friends are property management people. I don't think like other people could tolerate us. Not even tolerate. What we find funny is not funny to anybody else. Okay. You
Oh,
tell
Katie, I love
stories and people are like, what? What did you do at work today?
it.
Not possibly comprehend. So the only people that we really jive with are other property management people, maybe trades and
Yeah.
police, maybe coroners, whatever. But it's just a different thing. So constables and sheriffs and lawyers and that's who you vibe with because they understand what you go through and it is a
Yeah.
very different experience. My son grew up around that.
Yeah.
And he was allowed when I did work for a couple national firms. They were great. My kid was in their offices and, he'd run around and all that. So I was very lucky that I had those groups that allowed my son that experience. So he had been working as a landscaper in summer in Vegas because I said, you want money for school and spending money, you're going to work.
Yeah.
and he worked for a landscaper. He did welding. He learned a lot. He'd come home just so gross. It'd be
I'm
110
sure.
degrees,
Yeah.
and go back to school. So he asked if he could do it. And I said, you're going to have to start at leasing. You already did the porter landscaper role. Start at leasing, then we'll move you up. But you need to do every single position. You need to understand what every position's struggles and obstacles are, and what their main role is. He loved leasing. He did very well. He's very technologically savvy, so he caught on to the softwares and hardware. He caught on to that quickly. This is very strange, and I'll tell you this as a side note. The gal that he worked with and that trained him worked for me when I first moved to Vegas in 1994.
Oh my
She
gosh.
was one of the first people that I met here, and she was a leasing agent at the time. And we became very good friends. She is still my friend to this day. Love her to death. I have pictures of her holding Dominic when he was a
Oh,
newborn baby.
oh, such a
So
great
to
story.
see the two of them working together
Yeah.
decades later is mind blowing to me. I would just walk in their office and just start laughing. And you want to recreate that photo. Dominic's a little too big for anyone to hold him anymore, and he'd be wearing TV sunglasses. So I was very lucky. She trained him, and she was his mentor. So then he moved into assistant. Then he went into a manager role, and wasn't going to put him up at corporate.
Yeah.
And finally, he was training corporate people. So the one girl, she was leaving. She was going to go be a controller. And I said, I got to find somebody. And she goes, Dominic trained me. Why would you not give him that chance? And I said, because I don't want anyone to think it was handed to him.
Yeah.
And I thought about it. He deserved it.
Yeah.
He earned it. So yeah, he is now up at corporate with me, and it's been a great experience for me. I don't know if you'd have the same answer, not every day, I'm sure, but yeah, it's been so he's now third generation of real estate and property management. So I'm very proud of him.
Oh,
Great kid.
that's amazing. I mean,
Mhm.
honestly, like I have to even say, like, for so I have two sons, one's 14 and one's 4. But the thought of like my 14-year-old coming to me, you know, 5 years from now and saying, like, hey, I want to work with you. Like, I just feel like that's probably the biggest compliment you could ever receive
Yeah,
as a mom. I mean,
yeah,
seriously, like to
yeah,
have that sort of a relationship with your son where he wants to spend a lot of time with you. Like, that's a
yeah,
big deal.
yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. He calls me Katie at work.
Yeah.
He never calls me mom. He does not look like me.
Oh,
Yeah, nothing like me, looks like his dad. So until people see our last names, they don't even know we're related.
yeah.
And sometimes outside of work, he forgets and he'll call me Katie. And I'm like, what'd you just say? We have, we're fortunate that our personal and work are very clearly defined. I think that's what makes it work very well. It's defined even to the point of I'm Katie at work,
Yeah.
I'm mom at home,
Yeah.
when he comes over, when he visits. So we set very clear boundaries between personal and professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's amazing. Like I said, I cannot even imagine how proud and happy I would be if my son came and said that to me. But I do agree with you though that having family members together in the same business can create a little bit of like hesitation that is unfortunate, right? Like, so I embrace it at Fortress actually. I've hired, in fact, we have a woman that I hired, gosh, 4 years ago. And about a year of her being with our company, we were struggling to figure out an issue. And she was like, oh, like my husband could probably work on that for us. Like he's really smart. He's not even working right now. Like he could probably do that thing for us. And I was like, whoa, he has that skill set. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, let's bring him on. And of course,
Yeah.
at that point, it was even like this position really should have reported to her. And so he reported to her for a minute. And, we were like, well, do we tell people? Do we not? Like, how do we handle this? Because
Mhm.
he was going to either earn the position or not, right? Like either he was going to be successful and it was going to be great, or he wasn't and we were going to let him go. Like it had nothing to do with him being
With
married
who
to
he
her.
was.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And so we've done that several other times over. We've brought in people's sisters and other and cousins and all sorts of stuff. And I'm just like, for me, the relations are relevant. Like you might be able to work great with your sister, spouse, child, or you might not be able to. But that
Yeah.
same could be said for the person that comes in off the street that's gonna
Yes.
fill this role. So, but it is a little sad that we have to be so like aware of it and make sure that other
Yes.
people, and almost sometimes like I've even seen people like hold other people back or down, like to your point, because we don't want to make those waves or make other people feel like it was because it's who it is.
It was we do have I have a father-daughter. I have a mother-daughter. I've had cousins,
Yeah.
whatever. We set the thing where they cannot work directly. I've had husband-wife. Um, and we made it very clear. You worry about, especially when a great employee brings somebody in, and that other one doesn't work out.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
takes, and I've had it a couple times, and I've been very fortunate that the ones that were still with me were like, well, I hope you don't hold it against me. I'm like, I hope you don't hold it against me.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like, no, and we move on. But
That's
it
awesome.
was very difficult. I am sure it was difficult for Dominic. People talk, people say things, there's little backbiters and stuff like that. So I know it wasn't easy for him.
Yeah.
Dominic was not born with a silver spoon. I came from a low income family. I surely was not handed anything. Neither was Dominic. We raised him that way. And we didn't have a lot of money. So I know it was hard for him. And I know people said things, I've heard things. And then it just got to the point where I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
care. He's doing his job. If somebody has a referral that's a family member, bring it on. I'm happy to take them as
Yep.
long as we can understand that your job is separate from your sister or your cousin. As long as we can have that, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Okay, apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So if I could get a sister of a great, hey, I'll try
Yeah.
it. So I get to the point where on that part, I just don't care.
Yeah.
I just
No,
don't care.
I couldn't agree more with you. Um, and I feel like that's also a little bit of a testament to who you are as a person in general, right? I mean, because you've even said that, you're known for being pretty tough on people, but at the end of the day, like it's in a good way, right? So, I mean, tell me a little bit about that, about like, who you are as a person and how you lead and how you manage others.
I, yeah, I'm known to be tough. I've heard, yeah, a lot of things. I am anal. I am. I believe in being on time.
Yeah.
Uh, I am a psycho about that. I believe that if our customers expect us there at 8 a.m., that we're to be there at 8 a.m., that we're to have the office open and be welcoming and ready to go. I tell my people, they're like, I was only 8 minutes late. I'm like, okay, the office doesn't say 8-ish. Like the sign doesn't say we open on or about, on or around, or 8-ish. It says we're open for business at 8. I said, and look at it from your perspective when you're scheduling your time in your day, and it's very tight, and your time is just as valuable as mine. And you're like, okay, I'm going to run right to the leasing office at 8 a.m. I'm going to turn my keys in or do whatever you're doing. And the office isn't open.
Yeah.
That's infuriating, and it's disrespectful in my opinion.
Yep.
If you're going to be there, you're going to be there. So the one gal told me, I call her and she's like, she was with another company. She's like, yeah, I got to open the model. I'm like, aren't leasing there? She's a manager. It was like 500 units. She goes, well, our company said they can come in by 8:15. And I said, don't you open at 8? She goes, yeah, but they say, traffic, this and that. I go, okay, so why don't you change their hours to 7:45 and give them the 15-minute wiggle room so they're there by 8. I go, because you're just giving them the authority. Now she's upset because she's the only one there
Yeah.
as manager, and she's very old school and she's very particular and she's always early. I said, so you have to get everything done. So by the time the people who are supposed to do that show up, you already have it done and you're already helping people. It was supposed bizarre thing I've ever heard. The other thing is I am very particular. I sometimes where I think I need to focus and work, if I see someone's talent and I really see something about them, I will push.
Yeah.
I will push. Um, and sometimes I read the room wrong. Maybe they don't want that. And I can't understand why they don't. You talked about life balance. That's part of the reason. There's so many things in social media saying corporations don't care and just
Yeah.
give it the bare minimum. They're not going to promote you anyway. And I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, you guys are so getting it wrong. I
Yeah.
do look at the hard workers, not the ones that are just running status quo. But sometimes I think I want more for the employee than they want for themselves.
Yes.
And it's wrong of me. And I do push. And I'm like, why wouldn't you want this? And they're like, because I don't want that job. And it just blows my mind. So
Hard.
it's something I'm really trying to work on. But I will give anybody the amount of training and time that they want. I
Yeah.
will take them wherever they want to go. I've
Yeah.
already done it all. I don't really care. If you want to get there, I'm going to take you there. I want to be that mentor. I want to be there to coach the next generation and watch them succeed. That's like the best compliment I could get. But my delivery can be rough.
Yeah.
My delivery, I don't yell. I'm not a yeller. I have a stern sounding voice, but that's just my voice. I am loud. I am pushy, with the best intent. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can be a little bullish. Yeah, yeah,
I think that the important part is just the self-awareness, right? And knowing it well enough to know that it's something that you should work on because it
yes,
is, we do need that. Well, it is amazing to have that phenomenal leasing consultant who just wants to be a leasing consultant, a
yes,
phenomenal leasing consultant forever, even though you and I see her and see that she could be a regional or whatever. Like, but if she loves being a leasing consultant, that's actually hugely advantageous. But for you and I, like, and others who are so like driven and so like want to continue to conquer and create success, it's so hard to understand. And I think because I have struggled with that as well,
yeah,
Katie, actually. And I have
yeah,
done the same thing. I have pushed people when I should not have pushed them.
yes,
And they've left me for it. Like there are times where I've pushed people and forced them into roles that they weren't ready for, really didn't want, even though I knew they could do it. And they could have, they didn't want to. And that's their right to not want to. And I should have just left them where they were. But I agree with you. I've also come to be very aware of that. And through meditation, I've come to terms with it and have
yes,
found a way to let them be. So
yes. I agree. It was a long process, but I finally said, okay, what I want and what they want are not the same things. I think they're amazing, so I'll let them be amazing where they're at.
yeah.
Yeah, in the current role, they can be,
Yes.
and I tell them, if your goals and your wants change, I'm not going to keep badgering you on it because I don't want you to say she keeps pushing. You have to come to me.
Yeah.
Let's make an agreement that if your goals and needs change, that you will come to me.
Yeah.
Because then they say, "Well, you never asked me again." I'm like, come on, I've asked you 10 times. You told me no. You told me to
Yeah.
quit bothering you. And then if part of them get a little sad if you don't keep asking when a position comes available.
Yeah.
So that's why I make it very clear. When you're ready, if you're ever ready, you come to me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's what we do now.
I love it. I think that's a great practice. I mean, like you have to be aware to realize what's happening and then you can put a practice, a policy in place that makes
Yes.
it comfortable and successful for everyone. So
Yes.
I love it.
Agreed.
Katie, I could talk to you for the rest of the day. I'm very serious. I have like 6 more things that I would love to chat with you about. But I also know you have another job to do. This isn't your
Yeah.
full-time job,
Yeah.
like whether I like it or not. So I'm going to go ahead and no, I'm going to ask you one more question before I go into my two final questions. Um, your take on the market. Like, I feel like Las Vegas is one of those is a very interesting market.
Mhm.
It is, you talk about a market that's really, you know, driven by a a dominant industry.
Yes.
Right, Las Vegas is one. And so it's really interesting. But and you've talked about how hard 2025 has been. That it's been extremely tough and that you think that 2026 is going to be pretty tough also. I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Why has 2025 been so hard and what do you think is coming for us in 2026?
I think 2025, a lot of it had to do with the mass volume of supply that hit our market.
Okay.
And it's in pockets, okay? It's in certain areas where, we have a lot of land in which we can still build. So
Yeah.
we've got like South Las Vegas Boulevard, which just got hammered with new product. And we all know that goes downhill, right? I mean, it just goes downhill. So you've got these luxury, I call them Uber A's. Okay. So you have A, B, and C. And
Oh,
now
okay.
there's this
Okay.
new thing called Uber A's, is what I call them, that are next level. You got salt rooms, you
Yep.
got cold plunge pools, which totally blows my mind because me, I'm looking at the exit strategy. Like when that is no longer a fad, the volume of money to repurpose a salt room, which is a cool idea. I want to go check one out, or a cold plunge room is that's what I look at, right? From perspective
I
with
love
fat.
that. So practical. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My gosh, so cool. And consumers look at that and they say they're going to use it. They never use it,
Yep.
which is great. So our maintenance on it is lower. But the volume of supply hit us super hard in this pocket. That's number one with Las Vegas. I think as a whole in the country, our household debt is 18.2 trillion or something. It's the highest it's ever been. Delinquencies are on the rise with credit card debt and car debt, student loan debt. We know I kind of take that out of the equation with all the weirdness with that. But it's going to catch up with us at some point.
Mhm.
Vegas is we have not diversified our market as we should have. We've
Right.
been talking about it since I moved here, right? We're going to diversify. We're not going to be all driven by disposable income.
Mhm.
We're going to change. We're going to do all this stuff. We did get some techie stuff in here. They're trying to get the movie studios in here. But did we really? No, we didn't learn much from 2008. We got a sports team too. That costs a lot of money. People aren't going to go to games without disposable income. So
Yeah.
it did create support jobs. Okay. So I do look at it from that perspective. We have the highest unemployment. We're over 5% and increasing. Casinos are laying off. MGM did 800, I think, recently last week. Resort Worlds did some. So I think we're going to have a hard 2026. I think our prices have gone down. I just read an article in the Las Vegas Review Journal yesterday, from 2022 to current. Las Vegas rents have dropped 13.2%. Okay.
Whoa. Wow.
Now, most people would be freaking out about that. The reason I'm
Yeah.
not freaking out about it is because in 21, 22, our rents increased over 22%.
Okay.
So you have to level it out. Okay. I mean, are we really that bad if COVID never happened and
Yeah.
we trucked along the normal 3 to 4% year over year rent growth? We're pretty much still in the pocket, right? It just is really painful right now because deals were underwritten at those large numbers. A lot of value add was written at those large numbers that aren't holding steady. Concessions are in the market, 8 to 10 weeks free to backfill. It's gonna be rough. I probably would say I did a talk in 23 actually, and I said 24 is gonna be meh, 25 is gonna suck, and 26 towards the end of third quarter will probably start leveling out, depending on the economy Where are we going to be? What's our unemployment going to be? There's so many factors.
Yeah.
What's really weird about this cycle, Kerri, we can pinpoint exactly what happened in decades past.
Mhm.
82 or whatever it was the double digit interest rates. I remember that. I was young, but I remember we could usually pinpoint. We really can't right now. We had the pandemic. I believe we would have went into a cycle, a slump in 19, in 20, had we not had the pandemic. We threw a bunch of money into our economy, which I don't think was the brightest. I'll stand by that 100%, because all we did was kick the can down the road. Then there was a building frenzy. Okay. So 2026 is going to be interesting. We're still leveling out. So I'm curious to see what happens, but I don't think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I don't. I think we're going to have higher unemployment. I think we're going to see delinquencies tick up. Vegas is weird. These large corporations are greedy. I'll say it. I don't care. Has nothing to do with who the president is. They were greedy before that.
Yeah.
The resort fees, the this fee, the that fee. I'm like, guys, just put it in with the room rate.
Yeah.
Okay. Why are you calling it something else?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to notice. I'm not, promoting that, but if you increase the room rate and get rid of all those fees, it's a one-stop shop. People are not going to feel like you're gouging them. We might get some more action, but most of the people, it's the greed that they are calling us,
Yeah.
that's really affecting Vegas. So I think we're going to have to work really, really hard the remainder of this year and next year as operators, really hard. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Well, I mean, you're surrounded by a really awesome group of people who
Yeah,
are doing really well,
yeah,
considering. So, I mean,
yeah.
like every industry has difficulties. And as long as you have the right people around you, whether that's your team or your owners or your vendors, then you'll make the
Yes.
best of it. So,
Yes, that's true.
yeah.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Love it. Well, Katie, thank you so much. This conversation has been amazing. And of course, I get two last questions with you
Okay.
before I have to tell you goodbye.
Okay.
So my first one, would you like to share a time or a story from your time in multifamily with us?
Okay, I've got one for you.
Oh, I love
I'm
it.
going to give you another little one that you're probably going to have to take out, but I'm going to give you two.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
so
I'm going to give
excited.
you two because the first one, they're going to be like, my God. Okay. So 2018, I remember it. February 2018, my clients bought a building in downtown Las Vegas.
Okay.
Amazing building. I still have it to this day. I absolutely love it. It was right outside the opportunity zone. So they put a ton of money. That neighborhood is fantastic, very eclectic, cool, funky, ton of stuff going on there. I'm so proud of being part of that area and neighborhood. So within the first 2 weeks, this property was challenging to say the least. The residents were challenging. Outside, there was some unsavory people in that neighborhood. So it was challenging all the way around. It was a mid-rise. First 2 weeks we had a massive flood. There was a resident who hit the sprinkler head
Oh,
and started flooding. He would not let the police in. He would not let us in. He would not let the fire department in. We couldn't get the water shut off. Really didn't even know the property that well at this point. So I go rushing down there at about 10:30 p.m. Met my manager there, my maintenance supervisor. We were all there, all hands on deck. We need to help these people. We need to assess the damages. We called the extractors. We had 10 trucks on the site. A lot of seniors lived on that property, a lot of people with very low means of income. So I went in and had a line. We went and walked every single unit to figure out the degree of damage. By the time we got the water shut off and extracted, people's beds were sopping wet. It was all studios and junior one bedrooms. So I have a line and I'm going through who needs a hotel, who can we transfer to an unaffected unit, who can we transfer to another property. This guy walks up. I didn't like him, not going to lie. He was a resident. I had walked his unit. There was nothing wrong. He had a little bit of water at the front entry. We extracted it, called it a day. He cuts in front of the whole line, starts yelling and screaming at me how I'm going to give him a hotel room. I will say it's not one of my proudest moments. My language was not appropriate. It by this time it was after midnight. I'm in yoga pants and a baseball cap, just trying to get these people situated. People are crying, whatever. It it was not a pretty sight. So needless to say, when he got done yelling and screaming, I got done yelling and screaming, he left. So the next day I get everybody going and get them situated. The next day I'm at the property and this older man walks in and he says to me, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "Are you from Chicago?" And I said, "Yes, I am." "Why?" He goes, "I think you were my landlord." I said, "Here in Vegas?" I thought maybe my accent. He goes, "No, no, no. You were my landlady in Chicago." I said, "That's impossible." I said,
Yeah.
"I've been out here over 20 some years." He goes, "I know that." I said, "Okay." He goes, "You worked at 6030 North Sheridan in 1991 and you were my landlady." He was right. That's where I worked in 1991 and I lived there.
Oh my gosh.
So I thought I Googled my name to see if that address showed up, if anything pertaining to that time of my life showed up. None of it showed up. So he wasn't lying. So then he told me how he knew me and the circumstances behind it. So his girlfriend was actually the leaseholder. He was not.
Okay.
Whenever they get in a fight, she would lock him out and he couldn't get in. He would come down to the office. Now, keep in mind, I was about 20. I was managing a property. It was about 278 units. It was in Rogers Park and it was a high rise. Okay. He would come down to my office demanding that I let him in that unit. And I said, "You're not on the lease. I'm not letting you in. You can kick and scream all you want." He's like, "I'm going to call it." You do whatever you want. And there were choice words back then, too. And I would yell and scream at him to get out of the office. He goes, "I recognize the screaming because you used to scream at me that way." And after he told me this story, I remembered him. I
Oh
remembered
my
his
God.
girlfriend. I went home and I said, "I think I've been in this business too long." This man remembered me from 1991 solely for screaming at him. And I was his landlord, and he was 100% right. Is that
Oh
not
my
the
God.
weirdest thing? I thought he was stalking me. I thought,
I love it.
This can't possibly be true." And he is still my resident to this day. I
Oh,
see him when I go over there. He said, "Katie, I know I wasn't a nice man back then." He said, "But I'm a different person." I said, "You know what? Aren't we all?
yep.
As long as you don't yell at me like that again, we're good." He gives me a hug whenever he sees me. But yeah, true story.
Oh
19.
my God. Katie,
Mhm.
that is such a phenomenal story. And if I may, I feel like the moral to this story is that most men just need to get their shit together.
Amen. Exactly. It was, and he still talks to the girlfriend.
Oh my gosh.
I said, "Why would she even talk to you? You were such a jerk."
I
And he
love it.
goes, "Well, we're still very close friends." And
Oh my gosh.
it's so bizarre.
I
So
love
that was my most weird story because that one kind of creeped me out because I really thought he was like stalking me or something. And when I tell you the property was very challenging, it was.
Yeah.
I worked there frequently, Pete, for the safety of my team.
Oh wow.
I made an office
Yeah.
there so I could help them during the renovation and the transition. And it's an amazing asset and it's an amazing area, but it was a long haul. So
Yeah.
I really didn't trust what these people were doing. You know what I mean? What
Yeah.
the residents were doing because I had heard so many things. So that's that one. I'll tell you my very, very, very first. You can cut these out. You can do whatever you want with them. I'm going to give you my very first experience in property management. Okay. I was 7 years old. My mom bought two, three flats. Okay. You know, the three flats, three
Mhm.
units each with the last bit of money she had with a partner. Okay. And She bought him out of this one building, and my mom was collecting the rent and so on and so forth. And she had a resident that lived in there, a guy, and he had 3 Dobermans, and he wasn't paying his rent. And when I tell you, my mom needed that money
Yeah.
to pay the mortgage. Okay. She needed her rent money. She was really just really starting to go, right? Really starting to build her business. And so the guy wouldn't pay his rent, told her he wasn't going to pay his rent. There's nothing you can do about it, called her some really not nice names. So my mom got mad, and my mom is about 5 feet tall. She's tiny, she's very mighty. She goes over to the building, and he won't leave. So she starts throwing his belongings out of the 3rd story window because she was mad at what he called her and all that. So fine. He calls the police on my mom. My Cicero was a very small town back then. It's right outside Chicago. You're familiar, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Police are called. They know my mom. My stepdad's called. He comes to get my mother to say, Mary, what are you doing? And she's throwing his stuff out the window. And they tell her, you can't do that. We're going to have to arrest you. And it was a big to do. So she said, that's fine. I'll have a sheriff here by Monday. And back then, whatever sheriff would show up.
Yeah.
I'm not saying how she got him there, but they'd show up. So the guy skips out, and we go in the backyard, and we're going in through the backyard. She made us come with her, and she went to check on the unit. Well, he had never cleaned up his dog waste in the backyard. So it was all cleaned up. My mom's like, wow, maybe he had a change of heart. He cleaned up all this dry dog poop from these Dobermans, and maybe he left the apartment nice. So we go up into the apartment only to find out he picked up all the dried dog poop and he liquid nailed it to the walls of the apartment. He liquid nailed all the cabinets shut. He busted the toilet. He busted the vanity. There was, I can't even tell you how much dog waste was liquid nailed to it. So my mom offered us each 5 cents and a paint scraper. And all we had to do was pop the piles of poop off the wall. Okay. So we're scraping it. True story. I didn't really care. I was getting a nickel a pile. I'm all in. And we're flinging the poop off the walls. And even after that, I still got into property management. Don't know why. Don't know what I was thinking. I would go collect the rent from my mom when I was old enough to drive. I'd go pick up her rent. I lived in that building many years later. It was one of my first apartments. I lived in it. So yeah, that was my very first experience in property management and evictions.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, at 7 years old
at 10 years
with
old.
liquid nail and dog poop.
I think I made like 80 cents. I didn't make a lot, but I was trying to beat out my brother and sister.
Yeah.
One sister is a little, she's like, I'm not touching it. The other ones, we were trying to do it as she didn't have money for a housekeeper. She didn't have money for that.
Yeah.
So we were all in. It was dry, whatever, just pop it off the wall. So that was my very first understanding of property management and residence. So
Oh my gosh. That's
yeah.
so good, Kitty. Thank you for sharing. And I will be including both of those stories
Okay.
on the podcast. So
I'm
neither
not
one of
looking
those are going anywhere.
it wasn't anything weird, just so you all know.
Oh, I love it. Okay, well, we've got 2 minutes,
Okay.
and I am very glad I was not late to this podcast because I know how you feel about that. But I do have
Yeah.
a 2:30, so I don't want to be late to that one either. And I know you
Okay.
can respect that, and you probably do too. I know your phone's been going off, but I will ask the one last question real quick. Do you have a book you'd like to recommend to our listeners?
Purposeful performance.
Oh, love that. Okay, I have not heard that one yet.
It's about businesses. I don't even know how I heard about it, to be honest with you. I bought it for all my corporate team members as well.
Oh, love it.
Yeah. And I have an extra, Kerri. I'll send it to you. I'm looking at it right there. It's really about the people piece of it,
Yeah.
piece of business, and how to build that culture and still, do what you're supposed to do. And I don't know, I can't remember who I heard about it from, but purposeful performance. I really enjoy. The other one, just a little one more for a personal thing, is don't believe everything your mind Oh, shoot. What is
No,
it?
Don't Believe Everything You Think by
Don't believe
Newton.
everything you think.
Yes,
Yes.
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 Oh my gosh, well, an amazing short
Yes.
read. Love that book.
Yes.
Could not agree more. Love it.
Yeah. Send
Yeah.
it to everybody I know.
Yes.
Send it to my niece. Send it to my
So good.
mom. So those are my two.
So good. Well, Katie, thank you so much for this time. Truthfully, I knew we were going to have fun together, but I have enjoyed this so much that I could have gone on for another hour. I'm not kidding. You're
Very, thank
amazing. You're
you.
so much
You
fun
make
to
it
talk to.
very easy.
Your voice may be stern. I don't know. I've loved it. So I thought this was fantastic. So thank you. I look forward to connecting with you again soon.
You too. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Multifamily Grit. I hope you enjoyed hearing Kerri Raffinello's inspiring journey. Her story is such a powerful reminder that resilience, customization, and passion for people are what truly shape meaningful leadership in multifamily. From starting her boutique management company at 50 to earning Property Management Company of the Year in Reno and Las Vegas, Katie proves that doing great work with heart makes all the difference. We also want to give one more shout out to Fortress, our episode sponsor. Fortress is committed to revolutionizing affordable property management with smarter, more efficient solutions that keep communities thriving. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with a colleague who would enjoy Katie's insights on leadership, building boutique success, and guiding the next generation of multifamily professionals. Until next time, stay gritty, stay passionate, and we'll see you back here soon.